We'll start the group chat actually right now. So, welcome everybody to the group chat. What I want to talk about today is committing to the business. So, I posted in a couple different Facebook groups today, basically explaining how it's really important to commit to this business. And, if you are basically flipping part time, or you have a part time job and you're flipping part time, or you have a full time job and you're kind of neglecting phone flipping, I want to talk about a couple different ways that I overcame basically the transition from a full time job to phone flipping. And the biggest thing that I did, and the most important thing, I think, in my opinion, honestly, and I don't mean to be blunt here, but at the same time, I do, bust your ass. A lot of people think that you can just do this business, like 20 minutes a day. And that's true. Like once you get all your ads set and everything, and maybe you get a customer base, that's totally fine. But there were many days when I worked construction. I worked many different jobs when I was growing up. When I was 12, I had a lawn mowing business where I basically would just go to door and ask people, hey, can I mow your lawn? And sometimes I could make like 20 bucks an hour, which I mean, was pretty good for a 12-year-old. It was cash. But I've always had this drive and this determination to basically make money at everything I do. No matter what I do, I have to make money because money seems to make the world go around. Not that I love money, but I love what money can do for me, my family, my friends, someday give me the freedom to travel, etc. And I've just realized that the world really only cares about money. If you don't have any money, Excel is going to call you. That's the utility company around here. They're going to call you and just say, "Oh, you didn't pay your electric bill? Well, sorry you didn't have time, but you don't have any money, so we're going to shut your electric off." They're not going to want to hear any excuses. So the biggest thing for me transitioning was how I held a full-time job, but at the same time, basically had a full-time phone flipping income. And so I want to basically reference a few different times where I basically had a full-time job and I was still phone flipping. Welcome, Nelson. We're talking about how to transition from a full-time job today to phone flipping full-time, or how to flip more than work at a desk job or a day job. So basically, one of the other references I'm going to make is, so as I had these couple full-time jobs, I worked construction, did that a little bit here and there, and then I also was a car salesman for a little bit. And one of the things that I would do when I used to sell cars is when I would have customers message me about cell phones, I would plan a meet with a customer, and I would plan that meet at the car dealership, and I would actually have the person bring the phone to me on the car dealership lot, and I would buy phones while I was getting paid salary to sell cars. Now, a couple times management saw it, realized that I wasn't out there selling a car, and they didn't really like it, but I still sold a few cars here and there, did pretty decent at that. And at the same time, I was building a customer base and building a relationship with these customers that would sell me their phones. Now, it wasn't the easiest thing to be a car salesman and then also, buy and sell phones while I was selling cars. And of course, being respectful to your bosses, if you are still working a part-time job or even a full-time job, don't try and make phone flipping a priority while you're at your job. But if you're just sitting there, or you got all your work done, or you have no appointments scheduled, if you're a salesman and maybe you've got a bunch the next day, try and get people to come in for phone flipping. Another thing that I would do when I worked construction is I would schedule my meets after 5 p.m. every day. So if somebody wanted to meet, one of the strategies that I used to use is, I know that customers in the phone flipping industry are kind of people who usually need money. So if they need money, when you respond to them, they're going to want immediate satisfaction. They're going to sell off of the emotional high that, ooh, this guy's going to give me money for my phone. I can get rid of it. And the minute you tell them, oh, I can't meet you for 8 hours later, you shoot down their dream of selling their phone. I mean, they're excited to sell their phone because they want the money. And when you do that, you lose the deal if you tell them, hey, I can meet you in 8 hours. In that amount of time, they're going to try and find a pawn shop, an eco ATM, or they're going to find somebody else. So the strategy that I used when I work at a full-time job, guys, is I purposely wouldn't respond to leads until I knew that when I responded, if they took the deal, I could meet up with them. That was one of the biggest things that I did when I worked a job. Another thing when it comes to transitioning from a full-time job, everybody, is you do need to save up a certain amount of capital. I don't recommend that you just start phone flipping and then boom, you quit your job 2 weeks later. I don't think that's a smart move. Me personally, when I left my full-time job, I had around $70,000 saved up. And that was because I worked a full-time job. I was working like 10 to 12 hours a day. So that money was paying all of my bills. And then also I had a little bit of extra just from the job. But all of my phone flipping money that I made for like an entire year, I saved it. I didn't do anything with it. The only thing that I did spend it on was like remodeling the house that I lived in, which I now rent out. So if you guys literally buckle down and you give it your all, you could probably transition out of a full-time job into phone flipping in probably about a year. Now, there's another thing that's kind of helped me transition also is if you don't think phone flipping is strong enough in your area, there are some areas where phone flipping is better. Not saying that you can't do it full time everywhere, but there are some areas that you definitely have to push yourself more. I did construction and all that kind of stuff when I was younger. So what I've done sometimes is, along with having rental properties and such, I have a truck and trailer now. So what I've done is basically, since I used to do construction, I know how to do manual labor. Sometimes when I'm slow, I will try and use that truck and trailer to make extra money also. So sometimes if you transition out of your full-time job, example, like let's say you're working at a construction job and you know that, hey, you're getting paid 15 an hour, but you know your boss for the job that you're doing is making, $1,000. Why this is important and what it's going to relate to, I'm going to share that with you in about 2 seconds, is when you pick a job and you pick a full-time job, guys, obviously, number one, money's important. Like if it pays $8 an hour, probably wouldn't work there. But one thing that I've done throughout my whole life, and I think it's hilarious because a lot of my family, when I was growing up, they're always like, Luke, why can't you keep a job? Luke, why don't you keep a job? But I was actually doing something behind the scenes that I don't think any of them really could grasp the concept of until they see now, because I'm probably the most successful person in my family. And basically what I've done is when I worked my jobs when I was younger, I would work at each place for around 6 months to a year, never any longer. But what I was doing is I would pick jobs that had a good wage, so a livable wage. But here's the kicker. I picked jobs where I could learn a skill from the person I was working from, the company I was working from, get paid to do it. And the skills that I was learning would eventually help me to be self-employed because of the fact that they would teach me things that I would need in my rental business, which is the long-term goal for a lot of us. So example, when I was 17, I started working for my uncle who owns a lot of real estate. He taught me how to paint, and I got paid like $14 an hour or whatever it was. This is like back in 2013. He taught me how to paint. Now painting, if you've ever talked to a painter, like a really good painter, they're like $25 an hour. So I knew that if I learned from my uncle, who's pretty much professional, he can paint a line. If you guys have ever done any painting, if you can see the lines, actually, my room, I painted my room. I know it's kind of probably hard to see on the camera, but really crisp lines in this room. And I never taped this room, but he can paint a line. Very steady hand. Welcome, Trenthony. Very steady hand. So he taught me how to paint. But that whole 6 months to a year that I worked there, I learned that skill, got paid, retained that skill for life. And then on top of that, I mean, he taught me other stuff too, because obviously he's into real estate. Another thing that I did is obviously the construction thing. Well, when people see these rental updates on my YouTube channel and they're like, whoa, it's really crazy that you do all the demolition work yourself. Well, yes, that's because I worked construction. I got paid $20 an hour, sometimes $60 an hour when we work state jobs. And I took those skills that I learned from that multi-million-dollar company that put me through training, etc., retained those skills for life, got paid to do it, and now in my rental business, I take all those skills and apply it. I didn't have to go to school for it. I didn't necessarily have to waste my time for it. And when I wasn't working those jobs, I got to phone flip. So that's really something important that you guys got to consider when you're working a day job. Now, if you're working an office job, maybe you're going to learn marketing, or maybe you're going to learn how to be organized. Looking at Eli, looks like he's got an office job. He's got a clean shirt on, looking clean, probably pretty organized guy, probably really good at responding to emails, probably even better than myself, because honestly, I hate responding to emails, but I do it anyways. But you can learn skills, guys, from every single day job that you have. So don't always come down on yourself for having a day job. Welcome, Tom. What we're talking about, guys, today is how to transition if you're working part-time or full-time, the transition and the skills and just some of the golden nuggets out there of what it takes to actually transition full-time, and then also how to pick a good day job.
Hey, real quick.
Sure, what's up,
Man, I
Nelson?
just wanted to say something real quick. Now you're talking about it. Can you hear me? It's funny, man. I used to actually work at a store. And I mean, I was making good money. I mean, before I got into like phone flipping, I was making some good money. But I'm gonna be honest, bro. I fucking hated everybody there, bro. You know, eventually, like I would try to teach my employees stuff. They would like argue with me. Like it started off good, and then it just started getting bad. I started realizing that I didn't want to be a manager at a cell phone store. Like I don't know, bro. I just started feeling really weird, and I didn't have any preparation. I didn't have any plans of like, oh, like I noticed you said you saved up $70,000, which is pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Because you gotta have a lot of discipline to save money nowadays, man. But I really didn't have anything at all. One day I just was like, man, you know, I mean, obviously I'm training these guys how to sell, so I knew how to sell stuff, but I didn't really have anything planned in my head, bro. I mean, it sounds really crazy, and if someone else probably tried this, they probably would be fucked. But I mean, I was literally on my way to work one day, and I'm just like, man, I'm not going, man. I can't do this. I'm just like, I pulled over to the side of the road. I called my boss. I'm like, bro, today's my last day, man. Like I had my uniform on and everything. It just came out of nowhere. Something just made me want to just take massive action, man. And then I never looked back ever since, bro. And I'm gonna be honest, the day I quit, I probably had like $1,000. Like I probably had $1,000. But after that, bro, I've made so much money, bro. Like so much money. You know what I mean? Like I mean, I do this full time. I'm able to take care of my family. You know what I mean? I'm gonna jump into real estate. You know, that's what we're doing now. You know, as far as like, you know,
That's awesome.
Yeah, bro. But I mean, I'm not saying it's gonna be the same for everybody because you gotta really have that hustle in you. Like I was out at first I probably was out like 14 hours a day, bro. Like all the way up until like 4 in the morning. Like I'm still buying phones. Like I was just so hungry because I was like, I really don't have any other option. I basically put myself in a position where I was under pressure.
Right. So yeah.
Or made something happen out of myself, you know?
Yeah, no, that's an awesome story. I appreciate you sharing that, Nelson. If anybody else here wants to speak up or has a story about it, I really appreciate that. Something that I want to touch on too, just actually, since you brought that up in that story there. So what actually happened is, although I did have a decent amount of money saved up when I started flipping full time, I actually, when I went to go start flipping full time, kind of the same thing. I remember I was working a job and I was sitting there like scraping a floor. And I'm sure you guys have all seen in my YouTube videos, although I put on a little bit of weight, I've got some pretty big arms on me and I've got pretty big forearms too. And all my friends always say that they're always like, I don't want to arm wrestle you. And I was just scraping this floor with this, it was called tile scraping. And I was just scraping it. And these bars are like, they're like 40 pounds. That's all you do all day is like that. And I remember it was like noon. And, you know, it wasn't so much the company that I worked for. I mean, yeah, the work was hard, but, you know, I was around kind of some negative people. They didn't, you know, they just kind of wanted to work their job and they get mad at me because some days I'd show up tired. Some days I would work 6 a.m. to midnight and I would come home in my office and I'd work from like midnight to like 4 a.m. and I'd be back up at 6 or 7 a.m. So, yeah, I was a little bit tired, but I was making it all work. And there was other days, you know, that were better than others. And then one day I just went there. You know, there was kind of some negative conversation going on around, and I just I looked down at my phone. I see some eBay stuff sell, and then I see a course sell, and I'm like, I just made like $1,000, and here I am, you know, making $20 an hour, and I'm just, you know, beating the crap out of this floor. And although I had a lot of money saved up when I left, cushion or not, that is a strategy. Now, it's kind of a kamikaze strategy. Like Nelson said, I don't recommend that to everybody, but what it did for me, when I quit my job that day, I literally just quit on the spot. I didn't have it planned. Something like snapped in my head. I'm just like, screw this. I'm done with this. I'm going to force myself to feel obligated, to be self-employed, to do something better for myself. And so sometimes when people get pressured or put into a certain situation, sometimes that brings out the best in you. Sometimes when you have that full-time job and you know that that income is dependable and that it's always going to be there, you don't hustle as much as somebody who is desperate for money or desperate to succeed. There's a saying out there, it's called the wolf at the top of the hill is never as hungry as the one that's in the back of the pack or at the bottom of the hill, you know? So when you quit, you pretty much, I mean, you kind of explode your life in a way like if you care about being successful. When you quit your job, what's the first thing you do? If anybody wants to type in chat, if you've ever quit your job before, the first thing you think is, oh, shoot, I got to find a new job or I got to find a way to make money. But if you quit your job to start phone flipping or start being self-employed, you put all that pressure, that momentum, that motivation, that emphasis, and all that worry. If you can channel that worry of needing another job into yourself and work full-time, that's how you can have massive success, even if you just quit your job and don't even plan for it. But that's kind of what I did. You know, I did have a cushion of money saved up because of the fact that if I did ever quit or something happened to my job, I wanted to have something there. But I didn't have any plans to quit my job that day. It's just something happened, and I just said, forget this. You know, I can make more than this. I can do more for myself, and I just left. So, you know, I've went through a lot of hard times and everything, but the transition of just basically leaving was probably the best thing I would say that, you know, I've ever done. So basically channel the worry into the phone flipping, and I mean, you can do whatever you can. So glad you enjoyed that, Tom. Anybody else here have a story similar to mine or Nelson's that they want to talk about? What we're talking about today, guys, is how to help people and to give tips on how to transition from part-time jobs to full-time phone flipping, or to even keep a full-time job and phone flip, or to quit it all together and go phone flipping full-time. So Tom Max says, off topic, I'm curious about the ATM business. Tom, do you have a microphone?
I do.
Awesome.
I do.
I just unmuted you. What kind of questions do you have about the ATM business? Anybody else want to talk about the ATM business or curious about it? If you guys do, give us a yes in the chat. Just want to see what everyone thinks quick, Tom.
Sure thing.
In a weird way, it was kind of almost nice that we missed last week's group chat. I mean, it wasn't good, but I feel very, very refreshed, and I think everybody has a lot of questions for this chat, which is good. Eli says, sure, haven't heard about it.
I just remember you talking about it a few months ago, I think in February, March, and you were saying you had just heard about it. You knew someone that was really doing well with it, and you were considering getting started. I just wanted to see how it's been since then.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, a friend of mine, his name is Alex Gent, and he has a successful ATM business down in Miami, Florida. He has over 100 locations, and pretty sure he's been in the business for about 20 years. And what's cool about ATMs is, in my opinion, just kind of the, you know, looking from the outside in, not being biased because I haven't been in the business before, completely neutral, but just looking at it from all obstacles. What I like about it is ATMs remind me of like buying a small rental property. But instead of having to have $10,000 down or $20,000 down or $50,000 down, you can buy an ATM for $2,500 and have it completely installed and paid for and up and running. And what I like about ATMs is once you get that thing set up, all of the money. So example, you fill it with $1,000, people make withdrawals, $20, $40, $60. You get a $2 or $3 or whatever transaction fee amount that you set it to every time. And the way that that works is the ATMs are actually linked to your bank account that you set it up with. And so every time somebody withdraws money, that money goes back to your bank because their money comes out of your ATM, which is credited by their bank. And then the fee that they get automatically goes to your bank account. So it's like every time you get paid in the ATM business, you don't even have to be there to collect the money. It literally goes into your account. And then most ATMs have an online interface or like a website login where you can actually monitor the ATMs, the cash amounts in them, how much money it's making, how many customers they've had. It's like real estate, but, you know, almost like an online world into ATMs. You know, it's like it's completely its own thing. It's like being able to have a real estate portfolio only in a digital version and be able to see it all and just to see the dynamics of it. And to be able to get into an ATM for $2,500, I just think that it's a really great business for people to start in, especially if they have less capital.
Super legit. Definitely intrigued by it.
Yeah,
Sometime soon.
yeah. I mean, if you guys have an extra 2,500 or $3,000 sitting around, that you want to invest, I would definitely recommend Alex Gent. I personally have not started the ATM business yet because I did I bought 2 rental properties this year. So, I mean, I actually bought 3 technically this year, but it's been a really hectic year. I've kind of been expanding, not so much money-wise faster than I can afford, but my time. Like I'm really stressed out with just like getting stuff done. Like something happens here and I got to run there and then do this. And, I had a vacancy here and I had to rent that house out. And it's like, it's just been crazy. But after all of my rentals are, basically on autopilot. I mean, I've got one more right now that I'm finishing up. We just got to put a kitchen in it and then paint it, and it's pretty much good to go. We just got done redoing the bathroom and all that good stuff. I'm probably going to start on the ATM business because it's a good business to get into because I think it's very automated. And if you automate your business, I mean, that's going to give you a lot of free time to do other stuff. If that makes sense.
100%. Fact. Get it automated. Do whatever else you want to do with your time. That's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. Right. I mean, in my opinion, probably less maintenance than owning rental properties. The only good thing you can do with rental properties as far as automation is you can buy newer buildings or remodel your buildings like I do so you don't have a lot of maintenance, or you'd have to hire a management company, but that all costs money. Or the ATM business, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, there's a lot to know, but it's like once it's set up, what can go wrong? They sit inside a store, people withdraw stuff, that's it, So, and most ATMs last about 10 years too, I was told, before they start having major problems. So, but I hope
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, and it's pretty good.
Agreed. 10 years of money, cash flow.
Exactly. So, and I mean, there's crazy locations like my friend in Miami. Before we jump to the next topic here, he's got an ATM in a nightclub that gets $7 per ATM withdrawal, and that ATM, I believe, makes him like $2,300 a month. So per year, that ATM's making him $25,000, and his cost of investment was probably $3,000 for that ATM.
Awesome, super awesome.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely message Alex Gent. I've been trying to do a group chat with him, but he's just been so busy and I've been so busy. But I definitely would like to get him on or in our group just to do a video and share it with you guys. But he's a pretty knowledgeable guy and he's pretty down to earth too. So he'll tell you anything you want to know about that business. And he does have a course too, so he's pretty legit.
DJENT. Gent?
Alex Gent. I can type it in the chat for you guys.
Cool.
Yep, Alex Gent, Gent.
Awesome.
Yeah, you bet. Trenthony says, Luke, are you currently doing paid Facebook ads? Hey, Trenthony, what's going on? I'm going to unmute you for a second.
What's up, man?
Not too much.
Yeah, I know it's like a lot of people are talking about paid Facebook ads is the way to go now because, like, when you post ads on Marketplace, people message you and think you're buying a phone and all that crap. And sometimes those leads don't go anywhere. So
right.
I'm trying to figure out what's the wave right now because the way Marketplace used to work back in the days, it's not the same anymore.
I think paid Facebook ads are awesome because of the fact that if you do paid Facebook ads, you're right. You do have to pay for the advertisement, obviously. But if you're running paid Facebook ads, all of the leads that you get, at least 90% of them, are going to be focused around selling you a phone. When you post all the free ads, which, hey, free ads are great. I don't think I'd ever stop posting the free ads on Marketplace Facebook groups. But you're right. They're a little bit spammy. And when you've been in this business for 5, 6, 7 years, it gets old. It gets old replying to people saying, I'm trying to buy phones, I don't have any phones for sale, or whatever the reason may be. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, and I was wondering, like, how's your success so far with the paid Facebook ads?
Paid Facebook ads are pretty decent around here. I mean, a lot of the times, if you want to spend like 10 or 15 bucks a day around here, I mean, you can get 50 to 60 leads pretty easy. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the biggest town, but paid Facebook ads are definitely worth the money, I think, because like I said a long time ago, when Craigslist started charging people, if you can't afford to spend $5 on an ad that could get you a phone that's going to make you $200, then you have a hobby, not a business. Every business requires a little bit of money to put into advertising. We've just been fortunate enough that basically up until now, up until Facebook kind of started cracking down with Marketplace and then the other apps with these free phone flipping ads, we've been lucky enough to have a business that doesn't require any paid advertising. Normal businesses, they do a lot of paid advertising. You know, they do phone books, newspapers, they do news reports, or, you know, they'll do a commercial, or they'll get their vehicles all lettered and logoed up and all this and that, and they'll make apparel, and we've gotten by pretty cheap. So I think paid Facebook ads are definitely a yes, at least in my experience. I think they work really well. I think they're affordable. And the way you got to see it is if you can get 60 leads and close 10 of them, and it costs you, you know, 50 or 60 bucks, all you got to do is close, you know, 5 $100 leads, and, you know, you're making 450 bucks profit there, you know. And we all know that $100 on a phone is pretty decent, but there's been other times where I'm sure all of us have made $200 or $300 on one phone. So paid Facebook ads, if your time is limited or you want to focus more seriously on the business, if you want to just get those leads that are going to be quality leads and you don't mind paying for them, I think paid Facebook ads are the best way to go. And I think after you get paid Facebook ads set, that's when you should focus on the free ads.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. Anyways, guys, so we are coming up on about 40 minutes here, actually, so whizzing through this. Anybody else have any questions for today's group chat? I appreciate you guys all coming out also, so it's always good to have a decent amount of people on here.
Yeah.
Sure, what's
Hello?
up?
Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, my phone started glitching up. Bro, I was going to say, because I know you're into real estate. You do some real estate stuff. You did mention that before. What are your thoughts on wholesaling, you know, assignments and all that type of stuff? I never hear you talking about that.
Okay, so you're talking about as far as finding a deal locally, like a house that's decently priced, trying to sign a contract with the seller for a lesser price and then flip
getting
it.
out. Yep.
I think it's good because of the fact that we are in a crazy selling market right now. I mean, it is a seller's market. It is not a buyer's market right now. So I think if you are going to try wholesaling or flipping houses right now, I think now's the time to do it. Back in 2008, 2009, when we had the housing crash, absolutely not. But right now, the market, market is really hot. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to be really bold here when I say this, and I hope you all don't hate me if you aren't fans. So let me make this clear before I say this. I am not into politics. I do not care about politics other than the fact that as long as the president isn't killing people and, you know, we're not all in concentration camps, then I really don't care what goes on in the White House.
All good, all good.
But what I want to say here is if you look at the economy and the stocks, the president that we have right now, doesn't matter if he's a jerk sometimes or, you know, whatever you may think of him, he knows how to make money. He played the system with bankruptcy. He's a smart guy when it comes to business. And the reason why the market is so great right now is because the economy is just awesome. If you look at the stock market, stocks are way up. Everything's way up. So right now, whatever moves the president's making in the office behind the scenes business-wise or whatever he's been doing a really good job business-wise. I don't really care personally. I don't care what people think about him. I just care if he puts more money in my pocket, and that's what he's been doing. And so what I'm going to say is I'm going to make a prediction here, and it's October 28th, 2019. So remember this, guys, when the market crashes. Remember that I said this today at 2:43 p.m. With him in office, everything is at an all-time high. Now, if he doesn't get elected and we get somebody in that the views are completely opposite and you see a sharp sink in the stock market, the real estate market will follow right after. And so when it comes to flipping right now, guys, and buying and investing, you know that when you are buying right now, unless you get like a deal that's not listed by a realtor or you get an in and you know it's way undervalued, know that everything you buy right now in this market is either at value, so it's at market price, you're not getting a deal. It might be fair, but you're not getting a deal, or you're paying more than you should for a house. And so it's easy right now to consign something if you can talk someone down and then sell it for fair market value or a little bit over because it is a seller's market. But just know that if things change during the election, or things change with the economy, which they probably will if somebody else gets elected, just because the flow of things with the current president and the economy has been going up. We're at an all-time high. If things change and we see a dip, it will become very hard to flip houses for a period of time. Obviously, what goes up must come down. What goes down obviously goes back up. But there will be a period of time where it'll be hard. And if you have extra cash saved up, what I'm planning on doing is I want to buy my forever home in the years to come if we have a real estate crash. But if you have cash right now and you look around, you do a little research, and you realize there's not really any deals out there. I mean, there's fair long-term investments, but there's not really any deals. Save your money right now. Save your money. Save your money, because there could be a crash coming, and it might be a big one. It might be catastrophic. It might be like 2008 and 2009 again. So when people start selling out and banks stop renewing their notes, okay? Banks stop renewing their notes and crazy stuff starts happening, that's when you want to have that purchasing power, that cash available. Because when a recession happens or a crash happens, banks don't even want to give loans on houses because it's trauma for them too. It's terrible. But as a cash investor, if you have money from phone flipping, this is a cash-based business, if things change with the economy, okay, if the next person we get in there isn't really about business and they're more about pleasing people, who care about being, a lot of people out there that, in my opinion, that are into politics, like people my age, people who are in their 20s, they're more worried about, the terminology used on stage rather than what the stock market's doing. Like I have a couple girlfriends of mine, they're in their 20s, and the president will come on there and he'll say something which, it's like, hey, he's 70 years old. Yeah, I get it. He's the president. But he'll say something that's a little blunt. My girlfriends will be offended. They'll get mad, which it's understandable, totally. But behind what he said, there's truth to it. And if you look at the numbers, they're going up. And one thing that you guys need to know in business and everything is people lie, but numbers never, ever do. Okay? So if the economy is good, it really doesn't matter what anybody thinks of who's running office. If the economy is good, you should be happy with them. And the economy right now is great. Jobs are paying more. Everything's going up. So be careful, guys. If you are planning on buying something right now, be careful, because things could change big time when we get somebody new in office. And you don't want to be the person that buys something now at the top or the peak of the market, and then we have a crash. So as far as house flipping right now, take it up. Before the election, take it up, guys. It's a hot market. So does that kind of help out, Nelson, as far as what you were thinking?
Yeah, definitely, man. One thing that really stood out from everything you said was the fact that you said that you have a lot of girlfriends, man. Did I hear that right? Or
friends that are girls. My girl.
Oh, okay. I was like, dude, I'm trying to get like you, man. He said I'm.
My girl.
No, but definitely, brother.
My girlfriend's in the other room right now, so don't say that too loud. So.
Definitely, brother. Definitely time to take action right now, man. Definitely take action, and man, definitely before things do change.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great time right now, guys. The economy is good. Everything's good. Take advantage of everything. Try and make as much money as possible, because you never know when things could change, and get on that. So that being said, this has been a pretty awesome group chat. Great questions. Good nuggets shared. I hope this group chat helped you guys. And for anybody out there that's trying to make this transition, I hope this motivates you to get out there and get it. And I just hope you guys have an awesome week. I'm glad we're starting to do the group chats on Mondays. Seems like more people are showing up. And this is a good pick-me-up, Life isn't always easy, but these group chats are good. The questions are good, and it's good to all get together, get some motivation for the week, and try and get some phones. So I appreciate all of you guys coming out, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week, and I hope you grab some phones. If you have any questions, make sure to send me a message. If I don't answer, just spam me. It just means I'm busy. Doesn't mean I'm ignoring you. And then make sure you post in the group too and get feedback from all of our awesome phone flippers in the paid members group as well. So thanks a lot, guys, and we will do it again next Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time, unless I announce something different as what happened today. So 7 p.m. Central Time. See you guys in the next group chat next Monday.